Well, tonight's next award is the second National Journalism Prize, proudly hosted each year by the Melbourne Press Club. It is the Harry Gordon Australian Sports Journalist of the Year Award, and it recognises excellence in sports journalism across all codes and all regions of Australia. It is the fifth time that we have presented this award that honours the memory of Harry Gordon, one of the finest foreign correspondents, sports writers and editors of his generation. A very special welcome tonight to Harry's daughter-in-law, Robin Carter, who is in the room. Thank you very much for being here, Robin. And please welcome Scott Gordon, Harry's grandson, to the stage to announce and present the award. And please also welcome one of the Gordon Award judges, Andrew Rule, who will also join Scott up on stage to announce the finalists of this award.
It's very easy to follow Bruce up here, no problem at all. It's 5 years since Harry Gordon left the room. It's a year to the day, a year yesterday, since the great Les Carline died. And Harry and Les were very different men, but they had much in common as journalists. They were never victims of fads or fashions. They wrote for readers, and they admired each other's work. Les spoke so movingly at Harry's funeral at the MCG 5 years ago, and he spoke with great insight, and he told us something which he'd spoken of privately many times. He said that it was Harry's sports writing that inspired a young Les Carline to take up journalism. He never missed Harry's stories back in the 50s. And I would say that to be Les Carline's role model is about as good as a tribute gets. One of the few good things about getting old in this business is that if you work in it long enough to work with both those people, Harry Gordon and Les Carline, as I have. We also got to work with Harry's son Michael, our mate Mickey, whose family are here tonight. It's a privilege to be with them. It was a privilege to work with a kind, lovely, decent man like Mickey. Of course, we have to thank the other judges of the Gordon Award, that is Louise Evans and Kelly Underwood, who did the hard yards. Of course, what happens on the judges' panel stays on the judges' panel. However, I can reveal it wasn't easy to pick a top four from so many excellent entries. But we did, and in fact there were no arguments about the winner. The four, in alphabetical order, are Konrad Marshall of The Age, I would say a rising star in our profession. Konrad produced an outstanding body of work, including a very timely book on a certain AFL team. Jake Nile of The Age, one of my oldest friends in journalism, for a mixture of very strong feature writing and news breaking in football. Mark Robinson, the Herald Sun's chief football writer, for producing a big mixture of things. He wrote a feature that I found as touching as anything I've read in the last year, but he also broke the big news stories. And last but not least, Leo Schlink, Herald Sun chief racing writer, all-round senior sports writer, for a bumper year of exclusives and spot-on reportage. That's the field, ladies and gentlemen. They're in the barriers, and now we have Harry Gordon's grandson, Scott Gordon, to announce the winner.
Congratulations, Konrad Marshall.
Konrad Marshall's extraordinary and varied storytelling in 2019 was news-breaking, memorable and beautifully crafted. He revealed just why Rod Laver was returning to public life after overcoming tragedy and near death. His profile of Elise Perry explored how one of the world's best female cricketers stays balanced, and he expertly unravelled the inside story behind Richmond player Marline Pickett and one of the greatest ever AFL Grand Final debuts.
Well, when I walked into the Age about 10 years ago, I felt like I knew what imposter syndrome was, but now I really do. Thanks, first of all, to the Melbourne Press Club for putting on this night. I think that journalism prize nights cop a little bit of shit these days for being too sort of self-congratulatory for an industry that is going through certain ructions, but I love the idea and premise of them, that it's celebratory and aspirational. I think that what's wrong with sort of getting together and communing and giving out a few attaboys and attagirls. I'd like to thank my editor, Katrina Strickland, for having faith in me and trust in the ideas that I bring for sort of the full magazine treatment. I'd like to thank my wife, Nikki, for supporting me when I'm so involved in a story on Deadline. I'd like to thank the subjects that I interviewed for my stories, all of the sort of doctors and scientists and football players and coaches on concussion, but also Rod Laver for opening up, to Gil McLaughlin for agreeing to sit down for a big, first long sort of sit-down interview, to Marline Pickett for giving me time in the immediate wake of that grand final performance, and Elise Perry for letting me sort of shadow her for a few days and interrupt her schedule when I know she just would have liked to have been in the nets without a journo hanging around. But most of all, I guess I'd just thank sort of the daily journos who put together the sports section, and in particular the other finalists in this category. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the reporting that you bring every week. Indeed, I probably wouldn't be able to come up with good ideas to pursue were it not for what you put on the page. I certainly don't have to look very far for inspiration. I can turn just to the sports section that's next to where I sit at the Age, and indeed tonight I can turn to my table where I'm sitting next to Jake Nile, who brings sort of not just incredible kind of football analysis, but this ability to see into the personalities and the politics within clubland in an unmatched fashion. And Greg Baum would be next, who has this sort of amazing ability to come up with a kind of alchemy of prose and wisdom and wit. I would read anything that he writes. And last but not least, Michael Gleeson, whose match reports and commentary and general analysis and features always possess such authority and clarity and style. I'm incredibly lucky and privileged to write for Good Weekend, to be given this space and time to move and put together features that run 5,000 words and hopefully don't bore too many people. And I'm just grateful for that role, and thank you very much, everyone.
Well done, Konrad, and beautifully spoken. Put your hands together once again. Konrad Marshall from the Good Weekend magazine, the 2019 Harry Gordon Australian Sports Journalist of the Year. Congratulations, and thanks also to you, Scott, and to you, Andrew, as well.